right, we have Hemal Desai with BestRx. He's the president of BestRx here on the Catalyst Catch-Up today. So like a really special edition of the Catalyst Pharmacy Podcast Catch-Up series. We're going to talk through one about BestRx, them joining the RedSail network, what led to that, like what's different about them, how they approach stuff. So man, welcome to the team.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. I've seen a lot of these episodes in the past, watching from afar, trying to scope out what y'all are up to. Now it's good to be on the same team now, and really excited about doing the first episode with you.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. All right, so I think a lot of your customers can tell me your story, but not like I'm sure you guys got a lot of customers now, so they probably don't know the BestRx origin story either. Not everybody knows it about Pioneer, where I come from, where I came up through as well. So like, can you like just guide us through kind of the origin story of BestRx? It's one of the cooler stories. It's like such a started it in our garage kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like a lot of our clients that have been with us for a while may know the story, but yeah, you're right. Like our newer clients that came on in the past 10, 15 years or so may not really know that story. So, some people ask us like, how long have you been around? Because if they haven't heard of us, they think we're like a startup, and we're like, no, we've been around for almost 40 years now. So 1985 was when we like officially started.
See, I didn't know that either when I met
exactly,
you. I was
like,
holy crap.
But what it was so my father started the business back in the early 80s. I was a kid. I was like in kindergarten at the time, and aging myself right there. So if you do the math. But so he's not a pharmacist at all. Had no pharmacy background at all. But he was working at Allstate, and he was a developer at Allstate. So he was building their back end systems there. But he had a lot of friends that were pharmacists. So back then, late 70s, early 80s, there was still a lot of pharmacies using typewriters to, type out their labels and stuff like that. And it was all paper insurance. They would print out these things, or actually back then handwrite these things, mail them to the insurance company. So, but that was when like these systems started coming out and everything became digitized. So he had some friends being like, hey, you're a developer. Can you write some software for pharmacies so we can manage this, right? And if you look at the system back then in today's by today's standards, seems very simple.
Sure.
But you're talking mid 80s. That's still very complicated stuff to do back then. So he worked with some pharmacists. They consulted with his friends and things like that, and they built the first version of BestRx as a DOS-based program. It did all the things you needed to do back then: manage your patients, your drugs, your prescribers, print out the insurance forms for mailing those things in for reimbursement. There was no real-time claim submission at that time. I don't think, at least not in '85. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't honestly.
I don't know when that started. Yeah,
honestly, I am a child of the '80s as well.
Yeah, exactly.
To age myself too.
I don't know. I don't know exactly when the first dial-up transactions and all that stuff happened.
Someone will comment that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure
someone, if you know, leave a comment.
Yeah, exactly. And then more like printing labels, right? No more typing on little tiny typewriters, and I don't even know what kind of typewriters they used back then, but that's all gone, right? So he built the system, and he didn't quit his job at Allstate. So while we were growing up, this was his side gig. So full-time at Allstate, he kept working there. So he didn't quit Allstate until 2003. Oh, so for the first 18 years of BestRx's existence, it was more like a side business / hobby kind of thing. And
by then, how many customers were y'all still just like kind of regionally local, or was he even going like on his I'll just call it the side gig journey? Yeah, still like going out to like some other 5 states away and helping somebody over the weekend?
That's a really good question. So it was somewhat regional, but not just only in Chicago. So we're based in Chicago, right outside Chicago. Yep. Most of our clients were there and also in New York. Those are the two regions we were in back then. And we were at I joined the company in 2002. And at that point, we were at like 200 to 250 pharmacies using the system, but mainly all Chicago, and then like the New York, New Jersey region was all it was. But yeah, when we were growing up, my dad would work 5 days a week at Allstate, go straight from Allstate to the airport, fly to New York, do like 2-3 installs over the weekend, fly back Monday morning, first flight, and go straight back to work and stuff like that. Man. So, I mean, he didn't do that every single weekend, but he did it quite often, which is, he was a
labor of love.
Yeah, exactly. There. Yeah, he worked real hard. So, and the thing was like, he wanted to make it his full-time business, but he had 3 kids to raise and put through college and do all that stuff, right? So even though it's exciting to have that new business, just that security of having that paycheck from Allstate was more important to him at that time.
Yeah.
So that's why he didn't. I joined in 2002. I finished undergrad, and then 2003 he was like, finally, like, okay, I think I can make the leap and.
Yeah, that's a cool.
Go full time with this.
You always hear the other version of that. Not always, but a lot of times you hear like this. I guess the more like publicized version of that story is like they quit everything and only did this, right?
Exactly,
no, you don't have to do it that way.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think part of that might be like the immigrant story too, right? Like he came from India in the early 70s with like literally, they say, oh, came with $5, $10 in my pocket. Like literally, that's what he did, and worked and went to school and did all this and like was succeeding. And it's like he's like, I'm not gonna risk all that. Like as much I can't throw it away and risk all that, right? I got to make sure the security of my family. And then he's also sending money back to relatives back in. And, there's a lot of people depending on him, so he couldn't quite make that risk. So, but still risky to start your own business and put your time into that. So
it really you're sacrificing a lot of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, all right. So give me a little bit. So after that, so like, when did you guys open your first office and go, okay, cool. This isn't I guess a hobby or a side job. Let's turn this into the real thing. When did that start?
That was like 2004. That was when we got our first office. So the first 2 years I was working out of my parents' house, just like office up in the, we had just like a little room on the side, not quite the garage, but almost like it's just a room on the side. So we were working out of there, and then finally got to a point where like, we need to hire some people and do that stuff. It'll be kind of weird to have random employees coming into the house.
Hey, just come to my home.
Just come to the house, do whatever. Yeah, we're cooking dinner here. Don't ignore that, right?
Ignore it.
So got an office, did that, and then in the beginning we were growing pretty well, and so we were like every 2-3 years we were moving within the same complex to a new office space, right? Because we outgrew this, we need more employees, we got to go in here. And it was all the same complex, but it was just moving over and over and over again. So the amount of outdated stationery we had back then with our addresses on there.
It's so good to kind of hear the same thing. Like we probably didn't have to update stationery, but man, we tore walls down. Like
all that.
We shuffled. It was such a run-in like gag. In Pioneer, especially in the early like growth days, it was like don't get too comfortable in your office. You're probably moving.
Yeah, you're gonna move soon. Exactly.
You're trying to make room for people.
It's exciting and it's like awesome when you move and get to a bigger space, but man, those few months when you're moving and doing all that stuff, you're just like, I just want to do my work, and I'm like sitting here trying to figure out internet service and this and that and like moving. So, but it was cool though. So
you start again. Like parallels are so cool. Pioneer X like got started to replace a DOS, I believe it was DOS based.
DOS system. Yeah, exactly.
So you guys did the same thing pretty much. It was yours though. Like you had a DOS-based system.
We replaced our
Tell me about the journey to
Windows.
like going, okay, cool. Now we got to pivot to like a little more modern.
Yeah. So when I started in 2002, that was kind of what I worked on, was rewriting our software in Windows.
Okay.
And that's what I did in the beginning. So I was doing development work in the beginning. And so, we went from DOS to Windows. And I think we were one of the earlier ones to have that Windows system there. But that's what we did. I mean, obviously the writing was on the wall, right? You can't you can't go DOS forever. You gotta update just like anything. So so we've been Windows based since 2000. Our first client using Windows probably was in 2003 or 2004. I can't remember exactly when. So our Windows system's been out there for 20 plus years now.
Nice, man. Locations, people, like where y'all have grown now. And so like, I know you're in Chicago, but like.
Yeah, our headquarters are in Chicago, in Oak Brook specifically, like, just a little bit outside of Chicago. We do have a secondary office right outside of LA as well.
Okay.
So that helps to support our West Coast clients and things like that. So, it makes people feel better out there to have
I can see that.
Knowing that there's people local in their time zone that will pick up the phone while they're there. So it's nice. So, smaller presence out there. But, we're at around, just for the BestRx unit, we're at around 75 employees here.
Right.
So, which is,
all U.S. based?
All U.S. based, 100% U.S. based. And, and that's real important for us to have that, especially customer support and everything like that. And, that was one of the things that we've always, that's been one of our values, is making sure we provide good customer support to our clients. And I mean, when I actually started, that was one of the things we probably struggled at, because it was just a mom and pop operation, right?
Yeah.
So between
Hemal was product support and,
and
troubleshooting.
And and I
tech
talk
support.
about my dad doing all this, but,
Yeah.
but while we were growing up, my mom also helped out the business as well. So she
wow.
was answering phones, giving support, doing all that stuff. So my mom was also very instrumental throughout the 90s in helping the business grow and do all that. But still, having that customer support probably wasn't the best with, only one person helping with that, and my dad working all state doing all that. But then, so we decided to make sure we focused on that. And we've always been like, all right, it's got to be US based customer support.
Yeah, you get high marks on that.
Yeah, you got to do that. Exactly. So it's not that there aren't smart people overseas.
Sure.
There's smart people everywhere, but it's just the US pharmacy industry is just so unique that you can't expect somebody from another country to be able to provide quality support on something like this.
Sure.
Even when we hire people here, it takes them a few months to learn the industry. Like if you're a regular person, there's no reason for you to know what an NDC number is, what is a bin number, what's a PCN, all this different terminology, all that stuff. So even people here, you got to teach them, but at least they know, oh, I walk into a pharmacy, this is the type of interaction I can expect, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But in another country, it's completely different. So it's just so hard to do that. So we've always believed, got to have that quality US-based customer support, which was, something very appealing about RedSail as well. Because when we were talking to people and we saw that you all were 100% US-based with your support, that was like, all right, this is great. You all align with what we do.
It's such a key pillar, in my opinion, like how we approach, like kind of getting into that piece, like how you've approached and how we've approached just like supporting pharmacies in general. It's just just super aligned, but it's like the way you can get like have really good things happen for you, and then also like maybe not so great things happen for you, is if how much you're investing and dialing in support. Because man, like you said, there's just such one, it's super unique, but so you're trying to adjudicate a claim, you had a patient right in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can't like
you're going to talk to someone overseas 5 hours later, or even it has to be responsive. I'm with you there.
Or it's like if you got to get on a 3-way call, right? And like now you're relying on the person overseas getting a conference call with like the PBM or with one of the claim switches or something like that. It just makes it harder, you know?
Yeah.
So
I understand.
Yeah.
And I think you said this, so I'm going to say it before. You've said it before. It would be no different than if I had to try to like troubleshoot and support European prescription dispensing.
European prescription dispensing or something like.
It's my frame of reference.
Japanese,
is so
Chinese,
different, right?
Indian,
like,
starting to do that. You're a smart guy, but you don't know how it works. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tell me about a little bit of your approach of like the product itself, and then just like some of the like pharmacy relations, like the way you approach like product development, new features, things like that. Like a little bit about like, hey, this is how we farm those ideas, or where are you getting sources for that?
Yeah. So like we talked about support being one of the most important things, right? And then the other thing I think we all agree is innovation, right? You got to provide great support, and you got to keep providing great new features. And to be honest with you, a lot of our ideas come from our clients, and so it's really important to listen to them, see what they're saying, see what they're asking for. We could sit here in our offices and try to think of ideas that are going to help the pharmacies, and we think we're right and everything, but like the people using the software, they know what they need. They know what their troubles are. There's nothing like the firsthand experience. So, that's where a lot of our ideas come from, and we work with them, consult with them. And most of the ideas that come from our clients, they're great ideas that will work for a good chunk of our client base. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. Let's work on this. And then obviously there's other stuff that comes, integration requests come from vendors. So those things come along, and, people are always doing things that you may not have thought of. And you know how it is. There's no one software that can do every single thing out there. It just doesn't exist. You got to integrate with other companies that focus on certain areas and things like that you may not focus on. So we get a lot of good ideas. And even when you're integrating with the company and working with them, sometimes when you're going through that project, you realize like, wow, okay, we learned a lot just by working with this partner. We got the integration that helps, but then we also improved a couple of our internal things in our software as well.
It does uncover some, right? Yeah.
So there's a good overlap and bleeds through into other parts of that. And then industry stuff too, right? We go to industry conferences and meet people and do things like that. And we talk to others, and you see what is going on out there, and then gives you ideas and things like that. So and I'm sure you go to conferences, right? And like everyone thinks it's all about sales, sales, sales. But sales is like one part of it. Another part of it is also talking to your current clients, because seeing like, all right, if they have something that they're upset about, something that's not working for them, most of the time you actually know how to do it. The software can actually do it. They just don't know where the setting is.
Yeah,
they don't know what's in there.
Yep.
Or they tell you something like, you're like, actually, you know what? That's a great idea. We can do that. So it's like a little bit of offense and defense, right? Like make sure you make your current clients happy, and also while you're trying to get new clients. And the other part is just relationships and talking to other people in the industry that are not pharmacists, but also just the whole industry. So you learn just a lot just by going to those. So a lot of value in
it's such a good place. Like industry conferences. I know one, they're a struggle to get to. They're expensive, whatever. Like whether as you're a pharmacy or a vendor, it's just such like one of the few places you can go to figure out where the puck's kind of going, right? Exactly, so you can skate to it instead of like in your customer base is a great place. Like the pharmacies that we all know and work with are a great place to tell you where that's going.
Exactly.
For sure. So, okay. So let's get into like the actual acquisition. Okay. All right. Yes. This is the kind of the question that I'm sure the customer base is looking at too, going, okay, then why sell?
Exactly.
And then why RedSail from there? Like you kind of already alluded to it a little bit.
And I mean, look, our clients, they've seen over the past 10 years, a lot has changed in our industry. A lot of acquisitions, a lot of consolidation. And we loved being independent. Don't get me wrong. It was great. But I think you're starting to see now that pharmacies are struggling with the lower reimbursements and things like that, and higher costs and everything like that. And in order to increase that revenue, we got to find revenue from other places than the patient, right? You're not just gonna billing claims and getting the reimbursements. And if that's all you're doing, it's going to be tough to survive as a pharmacy. So how do we get dollars in for our pharmacies from pharma, direct from payers for other things like clinical services, all that kind of stuff, right? But to negotiate those contracts, you need to be part of a larger organization. Those large companies, when we were acquired, we had around 1,500 clients across the country using our software, we're very proud of that. 1,500 is great. But these larger companies, these PBMs, these pharma companies, they don't talk to you at that scale, right? You need to have a certain amount to get to that scale. So it's like, all right, if we want to be able to bring this value to our clients, we do need to work with others in the industry so we can bring that to them. And it's just how can we continue to keep providing the quality service for our clients and adding more value that we just can't do on our own. So the time was right to explore that.
That makes sense. Okay, cool. Let's go a little bit like, okay, cool. Happy to have you. Like your team has been like amazing to work with. We've been competitors for so long. It's cool to see like how fun like it's been to like understand like, oh, y'all went through the same stuff. Like we're all kind of going through the same stuff, but also like spend a little time on like, hey, cool. You had I'm sure a ton of suitors, and so like why RedSail?
Yeah, we had a few options, right? And it was not an easy decision, right? So like, a lot of great companies out there and everything like that, but I think it was just the values and the way we operate just aligned. Like I was shocked at how similar we were with RedSail and Pioneer and QS1, like one of the things I talked about, US-based customer support, very important. So that was huge to have that. The innovation that you do, like Pioneer, there's a reason you all are the #1 pharmacy software in the industry. The innovation that you do is amazing. So to be part of that and kind of work with your team and do that was a very exciting prospect for us. And it was also, one of the key things is just like, you all were interested in having BestRx grow, which is great for not only me, but more importantly, my staff, right? Else, like we're a smaller company. We're at 70 employees, whatever, but like we know each other very well. And I wanted to make sure everyone had a good landing spot, and knowing that BestRx was going to keep growing, that was security for my employees, job security, and like a future for them. Whereas some of the other suitors we talked to, they said they were like, look, we're going to be honest with you. We probably will deprecate BestRx in X amount of years or whatever, right? Which maybe financially made sense, but then like that makes me worry, like what's going to happen to the staff that helped us get to this point and everything like that. So a lot of things
that makes a lot of sense. And likewise, you guys have been great, and we've copied you as well. From a feature perspective.
Like they say, that's the highest form of flattery.
It
right?
really, it really is. Yeah. So you kind of alluded to it. What's not changing for everybody?
Yeah. So what's not changing is so BestRx, and it's been a little bit over 6 months now since we were acquired.
I know. We're a little late to doing this, but it's fine.
but it's all good. It's been busy. So our clients can see like you're still getting the great customer service that you had before. They've seen a ton of new features come out in the software. We're not slowing down that. We're actually, our growth is increasing more, right? And RedSail is investing in BestRx. So we're not going anywhere. We're going to be around, and we're going to continue, bringing really cool stuff to our clients. The difference is before we were doing it on our own. Now we have a huge team working together to bring these features not only to BestRx, but Pioneer as well. It's like there's certain things that you all do that is better than everyone in the industry, right? And there's certain things that we do that is better than others. Now we get to combine those forces together into one and make sure we're bringing the best of class to all of our platforms, which is really exciting. Yeah, for
sure. Yeah, I just look at what y'all have done, like as we've got to start to like kind of like really dig into each other's like platforms and stuff. It's like, oh, y'all did this in such a smart way. Like the fact that I didn't even know this. The fact that y'all have over 100 locations like on a cloud environment.
Yeah, I mean, and that was really exciting for us to do.
That's huge. Like you hear, like you can kind of get lost in the fact that we started in the '80s and then we went to Windows, and it's like, but now, exactly. Now we're hosting in the cloud. Like it's just it's a really cool story.
That's like one of those transitions. Like I said, like in the early 2000s, it's like, all right, we can't stay on DOS. We got to switch to Windows. We got to do something, right? And the same thing now. And I mean, Pioneer is doing the same thing, right? You guys are exploring it. It's like, all right, on-premise is great for many clients, right? And for a lot of pharmacies, it works perfectly well. But there is a group of pharmacies that need that flexibility with the cloud. And if you don't start working on that, there's going to be some new upstart, scrappy company that's going to come up, just like Pioneer did, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, you did. Like, we did.
Pioneer came out of nowhere. I remember the first trade show I went to, and I saw a Pioneer booth, a big old booth. There's no one there yet, but there was a big old booth. I'm like,
there's a build-in that will come kind of moment for us.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, who are these people? Are they a threat? Should I be worried about them? Yeah. And for a couple of years, I did not hear your name anywhere, but then all of a sudden, you blew up, and like, you can't be complacent. That next company could be out there if you don't keep innovating.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So y'all's growth's fun to watch now too. Like you guys are, I swear, like in a little bit of acceleration from that perspective. But while keeping an eye on, like, I hear you all the time, we have to do what's right for the customer. We've got to keep providing support, all of that stuff. So it's been refreshing to like.
No, and likewise with you all too, right?
So I don't mean to make this a love fest, but it's what it is. It's been fun. It's been good. It's been nice to like really like understand what y'all do and how similar we're all thinking about stuff.
It's good. It's also humbling, as a company, any company, there are certain things you struggle with, right? And you're like, man, why are we struggling with this so much? But then like we work with you all in Pioneer, and like you also have the same similar struggles, right? Like, we're all fighting the same battle. We're all doing it, but we're just we're getting there. We're trying our best, bring the best product, best service to our clients, and like it's good. It makes you feel better that we're not the only ones going through these things. Right. So
Well, man, we're excited. So I don't let anybody get out of here. Yeah. And I did not tell you about this beforehand. So I get this. I don't let anybody get out of here without what we call a prescribable. And so that is like, what are you reading, watching, listening to, or into in any way that you think everybody else could be?
Okay.
Or should check out.
Okay. So when it comes to reading, I'll admit my reading has been a little bit bad lately.
I've been bad about it.
Yeah, I've been reading to my daughter. So right now she's reading. She's 6 years old. So
what are you reading right now?
The book we're reading right now is a little Mermicorn magic mermaid book. It's like a knockoff of Harry Potter, but like with mermaid unicorns in the ocean or whatever.
Okay, so, got it.
But 6-year-old girls love it. So that is my current reading list
that's
right
your
now.
Current reading list. Got
exactly.
It.
Yeah.
No, that's a bit mine. I've been listening to. I guess mine would be. This is a little it's business, but it's not super pharmacy industry related. But it's been acquired. It's a cool podcast. It really just tells like origin stories of companies in general.
Okay,
Not
cool.
similar to what we just did, but like really in depth, like journeys on like how AWS actually got started.
Okay.
How Microsoft actually
that's really
got
cool.
started.
Yeah.
And the entire journey and the playbook they used to do it, the internal stuff and strife that kind of went through it. So that's been a good podcast for me.
That's good.
In general. And then I'm in my phase of like documentaries.
Okay.
I'm in my history phase of my life right now. I don't know. I hated it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And now, and I'm sure I'm really close. I think I made this joke already, but I'm really close to like being the grumpy old man later. But like, I think I'm slowly morphing.
Yeah. No, the documentaries are great. I like the documentaries, and like the documentaries are great, but I love the ones that end in a few hours, a couple hours. Yeah. Some of the new documentaries that go for like 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And they're like, just like episodes 1 and 2 are great, and episode 9 and 10 are great, but then like 3 through 7, you're just like, oh my God, get to the point already. You're just dragging this on. But no, that's cool. What's your favorite documentary you're watching right now?
I just watched, this is going to be dark. So I'll leave the true crime one out of it, but it was the one about the FDLS thing that happened in like Texas and Utah. But the other one I've really liked is the Roosevelts, like PBS. Like I don't know if you know a Kim Burns documentary. Those are good.
Yeah, those are good.
They did like I didn't realize the Roosevelts were like fifth cousins that far apart. Like I don't know why I was like as a kid was just like same name. Yeah, they must be father and son.
They were,
but they're like fifth cousin, like totally separate families. Like,
I thought they were like uncle nephew kind of thing. Yeah,
like that far removed. And like one of them's like from Oyster Bay, and the other one's like they call it the Hyde Park Roosevelts. The Oyster Bay, but like I don't know. So
interesting.
It was good. That was like the journey of like all of that. So that's the one I have.
Okay.
Well, man, dude, thanks for being on. Thanks for doing this.
Awesome. This is
Wanted
great.
to make sure we got like the word out, and I'm sure we've done a lot of messaging with the current BestRx customers, but like get your perspective. Like it's hard for you to call everybody. We'll put this in the newsletter and send it out to everybody as well. But man, just thanks for being on.
No, this is great. I'm glad we were finally able to do this, and it was awesome. So thanks for having me on.
All right, man. Bye, everybody.
I appreciate it.